since our last goodbye. Feeling sorry for the things I've done. Still regret that I didn't try. In the mirror, someone I don't know. I don't recognize myself no more. Now I'm the one that you ignore. I could have been better. I could have been better. I could at least try. I could have been better. I think I'm losing my mind. I could have been better. Oh, I could at least try. I know I could have been better. Every memory's bothering my mind. I feel like I'm running out of time. I keep chasing something I've just lost, and I'm lost. It's hard to.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Stemiso Zwane, co-founder and director of GoGetta Africa. Today, I'll be your facilitator. And just before we jump in, I would like to start with some housekeeping. Today's webinar will be CPD accredited, but I do ask that we all stay on the call for the duration of the whole webinar, and then Karina will be in a position to email you your CPD certificates after the call. I'd like to introduce GoGetta and who we are. GoGetta is an equity-based crowdfunding platform for African businesses. What we've looked and seen over the years is that we're on a mission to crowdfund Africa forward. Really, Africa's ready, entrepreneurs are hungry, investors are seeking, and GoGetta is where they actually meet. We'd like to see GoGetta as the gateway to investing in growing businesses in Africa. We're an equity-based crowdfunding platform, as I've said, connecting African venture capital opportunities to investors all over. We're making it easy for investors around the world to own shares in the growing African businesses from as little as $60 or the equivalent of 1,000 Rand. You can be a shareholder and start building your diverse investment portfolio. Also included today are entrepreneurs who will be telling you about their businesses, and you'll have a first-hand opportunity to jump right in. Africa's equity-based crowdfunding platform. Since launching in August of 2022, we've raised over 12 million rands for various campaigns on our platform. We have 9 listing campaigns currently. We have 3 campaigns which have reached their minimum target amount, one of which has raised their full amount from the crowd. 2 campaigns have closed successfully and have started their journey of going to unlock the potential and the value that we invested and put in there, or that you've invested as the crowd. And what we've seen is that there are multiple reinvestment opportunities for both the venture capital firms and the crowd is really loving what we're doing. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Lolu Bamasile, CEO and co-founder of Quiver Finance, a savings and loans provider aimed at the informal market in Africa.
Thank you, Steph, for the introduction. My name is Lolu Bamasile. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Quiver Finance, INC. Quiver Finance is a Nigerian-based company, and our goal is to solve one of the biggest problems in Africa. A lot of people have a misconception about what the biggest problem in Africa is, or I feel like there's a misconception about what the biggest problem in Africa is. A lot of people say it could be healthcare, it could be education, but I think that there's something that underscores all of those problems. And most of the times, it's poverty. And not to say Africa is a poor country, but Africa still struggles with poverty. And this poverty permeates every aspect of African life. And you find that this problem is much more glaring when it comes to financial inclusion and access to financial services. And that's the problem that Quiver is trying to solve. Yeah, so Quiver is a financial services platform. We build a savings. We're currently building a savings platform that allows our users to save in digital assets that enable them hedge against inflation in their local currencies, right? So currently, we're running on the DeFi platform, building on Polygon blockchain. So the background of the business, right? We started the business in 2021 actually, and in that time we've been able to validate the core concepts of the business with over 1,000 people, right? And what we found out is that a lot of people want to save, they want to have access to financial services, but they are basically cut off from these services due to issues like lack of proper KYC documentation to enable them open accounts, issues of internet penetration, which has been largely solved to a high degree. And what we're trying to do is to see how we can introduce mostly people in the informal sector to the decentralized financial platform, where they can actually interact with this platform without having to understand or even know that they're actually playing in a DeFi space, right? So what we've tried to do to solve a lot of this problem is build a platform, starting with a mobile application that allows people to save and borrow with cryptocurrencies. We partnered with GoGetta to actually bring this our business to the community that we intend to serve, right? We believe that community is at the heart of what we are building. And before we open it up to the general public, to venture capital and other investors, we believe that the community should be the first people to drive what we're building. And that's why we are opening up this investment round with GoGetta. We are raising 4.4 million rands. That's about $250,000. And the target for the campaign is $105,000. And as an internal return of about 33% over 5 years. I think that's a fantastic deal for anyone who's planning to invest in a long-term equity like what we are building. I think Quiver is a fantastic business for any savvy investor to invest in, and we are really, really excited to have you join us on this journey and become a shareholder in our company. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Lolu. That was brilliant. We would like to go into our second campaign of the afternoon. Abasola Sofawora, COO and co-founder of ScoreFair, a crypto-enabled sports betting platform.
Yeah, thank you so much, Seth, for the introduction. My name is Shola. I'm the co-founder and chief operations officer at ScoreFarm. It's really great being here and being part of this webinar session. So I'd like to just go straight into it and introduce ScoreFarm to you. ScoreFarm is the very first blockchain risk profile sports gaming platform. So the problems we're solving at ScoreFarm are two major problems. The first problem is no risk profiling. So in the sports industry with billions of fans, the amount of earning opportunities or the percentage of sports fans that are able to earn through their passion for sports is limited. So give, for example, a sport fan who would like to earn through sports, but is not willing to take on so much risk because of the current high risk, high reward betting system we have out there. That is really limiting compared to the potential of the space and of the bets of the sports industry. Also, we have country limitations and the dependency on local banks, which is the restrictions sports betting platforms face in accepting international users and scaling just beyond or just being restricted to one particular region. So those are the two major problems we're solving. So in solving these problems, first of all, we have a risk segmented gaming model on ScoreFarm, which aims at accommodating a wide range of sports fans. By doing this, we have a risk segmented gaming model that allows users to select and earn based on their risk appetite level. And also next, we have a yield-based lossless gaming feature, which is one of our risk segmented gaming models. We have by harnessing the power of the blockchain and decentralized finance, we've been able to create a gaming model where users can earn without facing the risk of losing their funds. And also, we've been able to build our utility token, the ScoreFarm token, which powers a part of the ScoreFarm ecosystem. Users can make use of this token to perform transactions with other cryptocurrencies. They can perform transactions and earn through their passion for sports, all on the blockchain. We launched our MVP last year in May, and we've been able to, serve a good number of sport fans, giving them the opportunity to earn. We launched with our locked gaming feature, which is the lossless yield-based earning opportunity. We have over about 10,000 users, and we're still growing. Recently, we launched a new version of our platform, ScoreFarm V2, which provides sports fans with a better experience. We have a really incredible design and user experience, which gives sports fan that new feel, that Web3 feel of earning through sports. You should invest in ScoreFarm through GoGetta, because we're building something really incredible for in the sports gaming space, and we are definitely the future of sports gaming. We're giving African fans the opportunity to earn in their own way. You're not restricted by the high risk, high reward model you have in a traditional betting system, which is really limiting for sports fans. I believe most sports fans right now are, either getting frustrated or, just so tired of the same model of earning. So you can check out ScoreFarm on www.scorefarm.org. We're currently raising on GoGetta. We're raising $125,000 and with an IRR of 33%, which is really incredible. So, don't miss out on this opportunity to be a part of, something really amazing in the sports space. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Babasola. We look forward to engaging with you. I've seen some questions here, which we'll have to answer at the end. And going forward and moving on to our next campaigner, Daryl Weiss, CEO of Silverleaf Investments, South Africa's first cannabis investment fund.
Thanks very much, Stem. My name is Daryl Weiss. I'm a co-founder of Silverleaf Investments, along with 7 experienced entrepreneurs with broad experience across multiple industries, as well as having 4 of our directors steeped in the cannabis industry. 2 years back, we launched a one-of-a-kind green economy fund focused primarily on hemp and medical cannabis. After 100 years of criminalization, the cannabis industry is being rapidly decriminalized across the world and is a major growth industry and brand new asset class, attracting major investments. Research estimates that the global cannabis industry is worth around $250 billion and is expected to double and double again by 2030 and become a major competitor in the medical, industrial, and consumer product space. Up until about 100 years back, cannabis and hemp were cultivated extensively across the globe. Hemp in particular was a major crop used to produce a huge range of products, including clothing, canvas, rope, paper and packaging, building materials, health and beauty products, hemp seed oil, biofuels, just to name a few products. So too was medical cannabis, a well-prescribed medicine used to treat pain, inflammation, nausea, and headaches. Regrettably, politics and industrial competition led to cannabis being demonized and being made illegal across the globe. However, today, dozens of nations across all continents have decriminalized or are in the process of decriminalizing the plant after a century of disinformation and prejudice. And what we're seeing is rapid growth recorded across the world. South Africa decriminalized cannabis in 2018, and we've seen a flurry of interest both locally and from abroad. In fact, South Africa and sub-Saharan Africa is believed to be one of the most prolific production regions in the world. With 300 plus days of sunshine, I guess it's widely recognized that the region provides ideal growing conditions for the plant. The South African government, though extremely slow in amending legislation to fully open up the markets, has been tremendously supportive. And if you followed the past 3 years of the President's State of Nations address, he has spoken extensively about government support for the industry and touted the target of bringing 160,000 new jobs into the formal economy. So there's no doubt that South Africa is on the world's radar screen as a major supplier of the future. Silverleaf Investments is in fact the only dedicated green economy fund focused on cannabis and hemp in Africa. We launched some 2 years back, and to date we've had 2 very successful raises and attracted nearly 3,000 individual investors. The fund focuses on a broad range of green economy sectors, including cannabis, hemp, renewable energy, and carbon credits. With regard to cannabis, we are focused on the entire value chain, from cultivation to processing and manufacturing to distribution and retail, as well as all the service industries that support the cannabis industry. To date, we've made 2 investments in a medical cannabis cultivation and a specialized cannabis testing laboratory. We're currently in the final stages of making 2 more investments, which we hope to announce in the next month. Our fund targets IRRs of between 15 and 20%, depending on the type of business within the value chain, and a 2.47 times money back. We're delighted to be partnering with GoGetta and their crowdfunding team, and hope to offer investors the opportunity to take on a share of our business for as little as 1,000 Rand and participate in a high growth and dynamic new industry. Thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Daryl Weiss, CEO of Silverleaf Investments, South Africa's first cannabis fund. And moving on to Umoya. Umoya is a telco that provides affordable data to underserviced communities in South Africa. Unfortunately, this afternoon, Terence, CEO, was not able to join us today, but here's a quick recap of what his investment opportunity looks like.
Hey, Umoya. It's the air around us, teeming with life and possibilities. Like air, we take our internet access for granted. A gift for others is a dream for some. A limit to the internet means a limit to education, opportunities, and most importantly, our communities. For some, this creates a gap that is difficult to overcome. Umoya closes the distance and creates opportunity, providing reliable, accessible, and affordable internet for all, whenever and wherever you are. A breath of fresh air, making our lives just a little bit easier. Umoya. Shaping lives, enriching communities, creating futures. Phezulu ngomoya.
Connecting Lives presents Umoya. Own your share in the technology that's reshaping telcos and securing a better future for underserved communities. Our vision at Umoya is a connected South Africa that knows no bounds and empowers job creation in the areas which it serves. We create as little infrastructural intrusion as possible by hinging off wireless networks and Wi-Fi hotspot base stations, which are fitted to existing towers in a convenient briefcase-sized box. Umoya stands to serve neglected areas in South Africa, bringing cheap data to underserved communities. At Umoya, we believe that access to the internet means access to opportunity, development, and a brighter future. With a collective 35 years in the telco space, the founding team at Umoya have earned these stripes, realizing that other big competitors have only ever chased a certain LSM and attractive bottom line. And in pursuit of this chase, there are areas which have been neglected. Did you know that the competitor data providers don't offer their resellers any commission? This means that the spaza shop owner receives no benefit for selling competitive products. Umoya will change this narrative, offering our merchants 10% commission on their sales while empowering their businesses through product training, access to the internet, and skills development. We have opened up a limited amount of shares to the public to own their share in our life-changing telco and aim to offer our investors a targeted internal rate of return of 21.3% over a 5-year period. We need your help. Will you be instrumental in connecting lives and empowering communities?
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Umoya. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Umoya, connecting lives and empowering communities. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Gareth, CEO and co-founder of Investment, a unique SME loan platform and purchase order financing platform for South Africans. New to market. Actually, let me not say more. Gareth, please take us away.
Thanks, Stem, and hi, everybody. Like Stem said, my name is Gareth, and I am from Investment. Investment is a business that provides purchase order funding and invoice factoring to services to SMEs, and we do this by leveraging the crowd. What that means is that somebody brings a project or an order to us. It's something they've already been asked to fulfill, and we source the funds for them from a wide variety of people. We started this in mid-2019, and then COVID hit in March 2020. And pretty much from then until the end of 2021, we hibernated the business and really kicked off strongly at the beginning of the 2022 calendar year. So we're about just over a year into trying to grow this business as much as we can. What we've done so far this year is we saw a nearly 200% growth from December to January. We saw a further 36% from January to February, and so far we are looking at a between 26 and 29% growth on the previous month from February to March. We have, at the beginning of February, funded our biggest deal ever of 7 million Rand. And so far, we have put out just short of 50 million Rand into the market. That is money that is going into the hands of SMEs to help grow their businesses, to facilitate pieces of business that they've already found, which obviously creates a value within their business. Even more than that, because we're opening this up to the crowd, what we're hoping to do by that is create value in the hands of everyday investors. It means that we can help create a culture of saving amongst the general population who are able to put in amounts from 5,000 through to 500,000 Rand into a particular project and get that back within 1 to 3 months with a return. Obviously, we need money in order to grow this business as big as we want to. And that's why we've engaged with GoGetta to run our first large capital round. So far, we are just short of our complete target. We've hit our tipping point, and we just need the last little bit to complete the raise. What we're hoping to give is 3.8 times your money back in 6 years and a 2.7% IRR over that. Oh, sorry, that's not very good. A 27.3% IRR over that period. You can see Stem having a bit of a laugh at me there. And now I've completely lost my train of thought by saying that, but never mind. What we're hoping to do is create a long value chain where the average everyday investor can earn a return for their, say, earn a return in a way that is more exciting than sticking it into a market link account, but less risky than betting the house on Bitcoin. And at the same time, contributing to the growth of the SME economy, which is what is going to drive, or what does drive, the South African economy. I hope that makes sense. Stem, over to you.
Thank you, Gareth. It makes a lot of sense, does make sense, and thank you for that. I think before we get into the Q&A session, I would like to bring up the first poll, just so we can get a feel of who's in the room and what are they looking for. Let's just give it about maybe 5 to 10 seconds. Okay, I don't know if my clock is different to everyone else's, but yeah. So I think there's a question here around, so we've got a Magnus just saying here that I'm new to buying shares prior to market entry. How do I actually see how many shares I have, the investment amount, what the investment amount will be, and how do I sell my shares once I'm ready? So I think I'll take this before we go into the questions for the other entrepreneurs. Magnus, so what we need to understand is GoGetta is an equity-based crowdfunding platform. And with that being said, you have to hold your shares for a minimum period, or there's a certain minimum period that you'll have to hold your shares because of the lack of liquidity. Remember, we're investing equity into these entities that have come today and presented to us. We need to allow them an opportunity to grow their business and for them to actually declare and meet the targets, funding targets, or the return targets that we've set out for each of the entities. And there is an exit strategy that is agreed upon prior to every investment that is made, which is stipulated for each one. The typical investment period is, you'd say, is about 3 to 6 years, where we can start looking at exit mechanisms and what strategies to implement for the different entities. Of course, we like to see that these entities will be declaring dividends on an annual basis once they've reached certain thresholds. And from there on in, we would disclose that and we keep you up to date as the investor on the GoGetta platform on a quarterly basis. You will be provided with a full report as to what the progress is on each entity, where are they, what are they doing, what's going up, what's going down, and so all the good stuff. So, but if you do need any further questions, just pop us a mail at hello@gogetta.africa, and our client success champion will be in contact with you almost immediately. So I think just a reminder while we all on the call, I'd like for you to know and understand that you need to stay on the call for the duration, of course, so that you can get your CPD points, and email Karina at gogetta.africa and she'll be in a position to supply you with that information timelessly. I'll move on to the next question. Now they're flowing in. So, what level of due diligence do we have access to? From Abraham, what level of due diligence do we have access to as investors to scrutinize the assumptions used to arrive at the projected IRR? So, Abraham, I'd like to allude back to what I was just answering, is that we do undergo, let me just explain the process first, is that what we do is we go and we'll go find, let's say, 5 investment opportunities, and then we vet them. They go through our investment committee. They have to pass muster with our investment committee. Those are then get approved. Once they've been approved, only then do we go into and list these businesses on the platform. The valuation is done separate to the valuation that the entity will come to us with. So we don't say you came with a valuation of $10 million and then we say, yes, that's fine. We have to cross-check the checks and balances that need to be met. And once those have been met, we then avail that information to you on the platform, each of which is under each investment opportunity. So you will go onto the platform, you will click on the investment that you would like to be a part of. And there is a prospectus that is out that is also registered with the CIPC it's in your platform, and you have access to that. You'll be able to see what we need to comply with and how we get to the numbers we get to. There's also the projections are there in the models, and those are also supplied to you guys, being the crowd on the platform. So if you play around on the actual investment that you have, you'll be able to see all the information available to you, including the business plan, the pitch deck, the financial model, financial projections rather, and also the compliance annexure that we need to submit with the CIPC. I see another question here from Alan. Do the shares carry any voting rights? What influences do shareholders have in the business? Yes, the shares do carry voting rights, and the voting rights are in proportion to the percentage shareholding that we own in each entity. I don't think I can expand much on that. So I think going forward, let me before we bring up the second poll, I would like to just talk to you about what is a Scout and who are they, and then let's move on into the Q&A for all the other entities that are here and presenting to us tonight, or this afternoon rather. Please may I bring up the second poll. So are you interested in becoming a GoGetta Scout? Just for some background, so you understand, a Scout really is a business or an individual that is looking to introduce us being GoGetta. You bring a business to us or 5. If those businesses pass muster with our investment committee and they get the green lights, they get listed on the platform and successfully reach the total capital raised, or the minimum investment target rather, you will get a referral fee of 1% on what the total capital raised is. And if you're interested in being a Scout, please do not hesitate to contact hello@gogetta.africa for more information. And again, we will be in touch with you as soon as humanly possible. Thank you. And then let's just dive into, I've got a few questions here. Guys, I'm dealing with quite a lot of questions this afternoon. So I have to get through them one at a time. So please just maybe bear with me. What would the investment process? What would be the investment process to invest? So what would be the process to invest in these investments? You will go onto a platform, www.gogetta.africa. You will then click on invest. It will take, well, you have to log in, of course. It will take you to the investment page. You'll click on the business that has pitched today and that you feel is the one that we need to put your money into. And you'll indicate the number of shares that you want. You pay the investment amount and you've become a shareholder in a few minutes. So there's some questions I can't see here. Please may we, so I just need some assistance here. How much can someone invest how much can someone have in order to invest? Again, you can invest from as little as 1,000 Rand. And for anyone who's sitting outside of South Africa, you invest from a minimum of $60 US dollars. You come onto the platform, you sign up, you sign in, you click invest, choose a campaign, and you put your minimum investment of $60 or the equivalent of 1,000 Rand, South African Rands. So I've got a question for Quiver, and I'm not sure if Lolo, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so I've got a question here around can you explain to us what the difference is between centralized and decentralized on the crypto side?
Yeah, okay, that's a beautiful question. And I think now more than ever, that question is much more prominent on the lips of a lot of people with all the banking collapse that has been happening of recent, right? So in finance, there are two concepts of finance, right? So the most common one which we have all over the world is the reserved banking, which is very centralized. And what that means is basically there's a central bank, right, that regulates the banking industry, and all the banks actually have to operate under a specific set of rules, right, set up by the government. And some of those rules oftentimes malign on the privacy of individuals that use these bank accounts, and also sometimes can be exclusionary, right? Excludes a lot of people from actually accessing bank accounts, right? So things like KYC, which is an example of something that was set up to solve a particular problem in our continent, like Africa, where most people, maybe not all over Africa, but I know that most people do not have access, to get this KYC documents to be able to enable them open the bank accounts and enable them access financial services, right? So these are all the basics of a centralized financial system where everything is regulated, heavily regulated, and geared towards almost more of a surveillance state than a free enterprise. And therein comes a decentralized platform, right? It's a decentralized platform does away with all of these constraints and enables users, to basically do more with whatever assets they have, right? So, for instance, you can be in the comfort of your home and get on the blockchain, open an account on any decentralized wallet, or even some centralized, or I wouldn't say centralized, I call them centralized exchanges, right? That enables you to have access to the blockchain, access to global financial services without having to sacrifice your privacy and then sacrifice your basically sacrifice your privacy. So you can be in Lagos, you can be in Johannesburg, you can be in Nairobi and do transactions with someone in Morocco, do transactions with someone in Latvia, or even Buenos Aires. It doesn't matter where the person is and what time the person operates in. You can do transactions, you can do business globally all over the world, right? So it enables users, basically, it basically globalizes access to financial institutions, right, or financial services for most people who would by standard or by the provisions of what a centralized system offers would not naturally be able to access those services. So basically, that's the difference between a centralized system and a decentralized system. A decentralized system enables people from wherever they are at whatever time to access financial institutions or financial services all over the world. Things like loans, savings, even stocks, right? Tokenized assets, right? So you can be in Lagos, for instance, and own assets in the United States of America without ever stepping foot in America, right? Through things like maybe buying tokenized stocks or through services like NFTs and all of this. So these are the core tenets of a decentralized system, right? So there are no restrictions and everybody is allowed to play fairly.
Okay, great, thank you. And I think while we're just still on the topic of blockchain, I think, Baba, can you just talk to us about so you mentioned that you have three betting or staking models, and this is for ScoreFam. So can you just talk to us about the win big, lose big, flexible betting, and the zero loss, if I'm not mistaken? Can you just walk us through that and tell us how that works?
Yeah, thank you. So basically, ScoreFarm, we've been able to create three risk segments based on three user risk levels. We have the locked gaming, which is the lowest risk level where users can invest in sports fixtures without facing the risk of losing. And we've been able to achieve this through our native cryptocurrency and through the power of the blockchain and decentralized finance. So you can basically stake on sports events and you earn yields upon your capital. Also, we have the flexible gaming type, which is also powered by our utility token. Here, you can get 20% of your stake back. It follows an odd selection model. You can get 20% of your stake back in an event where you're wrong. And lastly, we have the high risk, high reward model powered by stable cryptocurrencies where you can bet, with a higher level of risk and you can earn more that way. So basically we've been able to encompass, three different user risk levels, and we've been able to take into consideration the liquidity level. We've also looked at game difficulty. All those things are factors that plays into the creation of this gaming model. So yeah, basically that's how it works. And we're giving sports fans that access. Every sports fan has the access and the ability to earn and engage in sports.
Brilliant. So does that mean that I have to, do I use my physical currency or do I use my cryptocurrency? So I have to link my crypto wallet to your account. How do I actually get money or a positive balance on your wallet to be able to stake?
Yeah, so basically it's a fully decentralized platform. So all you have to do is connect your decentralized wallets onto the platform. So you can purchase the ScoreFarm token SFT on PancakeSwap or Bitmart. And also you can buy other cryptocurrencies like BUSD, USDT, and Swap. We accept so many currencies in the multi-flex gaming type. So basically it's once you connect your wallet, you have access to, transactions on the platform fully.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank you for that. Daryl, I have something for you on this side. And on my side, the question is, what processes do you guys have in place to ensure that the investments are safe, seeing as we're also investing in a fund as the crowd?
I think the starting point for everyone with regard to my fund in particular is that this is a venture capital fund, and we do work on a principle of high reward, high risk. Where we'd like to believe that we've got a very experienced team of people. There's a lot of gray hair on our team and a lot of experience in buying, selling, and running businesses. And our selection criteria is very vigorous. So we do not invest in businesses that we don't feel very comfortable with, that they're going to perform in the future. So unfortunately, like anything on the stock exchange or like anything in private equity or venture capital, one cannot guarantee returns over here. This isn't a bank type investment with putting money into fixed deposits. This does carry risk. I think what one has to do is consider the circumstances, feel good about the industry, as we do. This fund was was put together with 3 experts in the cannabis and hemp field and 3 general practitioners of business who liked what our colleagues told us about a high growth industry and how this industry is set to take off around the world. After 100 years of being denied legality, fairly stupidly, I might add, by governments of the world, because hemp is a miracle plant And for that matter, medical cannabis is a phenomenal source of healing. So end of the day, we can't give guarantees, but what we can say is that we've got a good team that will select good businesses that we expect to grow within a 5-year period and be in a position to offer some good returns on investment that will outperform a lot of other financial instruments that people can invest in.
Great, thank you. And what is your, just one more, so what is your typical dividend policy when it comes to the investors into your fund? Do you reinvest the capital? Do you start paying dividends out in year 1, 2, 5? Can you just walk us through that just a bit quickly?
At this point, our express intent is not to distribute dividends in the early stages and phases of the business. I think we would be looking at dividends in all likelihood years 4 and 5. We talk about this being a 5-year horizon to give fairly new businesses, startup businesses, because this is a very new industry, an opportunity to invest behind their businesses, reinvest behind their businesses, grow their businesses so they maximize returns in the medium and long term. So we're very open to dividend policies, but at this juncture, in all likelihood, it's a reinvestment strategy in the very early years.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Gareth, I have something for you on this side, and it's more on the purchase order side and also how much you've deployed to date. So you mentioned that you've deployed roughly 50 plus million. And what is it that gets you to that? So what processes do you have in place to ensure that you get that money back after 3 months or 6 months or whatever the loan period is? Because what's exciting here is that I'm investing into a platform that then invests into SMEs, growing the SME economy, and also touching on the pain points of these SMEs. Can you just talk to us about that just a bit, please?
Sure. So before we put anything live on our platform, we're first having detailed discussions with the borrowers on what it is that they're doing, how they're running their business. Okay, that goes so far as to checking that they are tax compliant. It goes to checking that their company secretarial work is complete. It means that we're checking into their accounting records. We're asking them for access to their accounting records to make sure that they are running the financial side of their business well. Okay, we're not just looking at PDF reports. We're actually going into the accounting records to see how it is that they are managing the finances of their business. Okay, now that all happens before we even consider them as a borrower. Okay, in order to put a specific project up, what they've got to show us is that they have an order from somebody. Okay, we assess the validity of that order, and we've got an arsenal of tools that we use. So sometimes we will confirm that order. Okay, we will look to see what has happened in the past. Is this somebody that you have supplied to many times before? Have they paid? Have they paid on time? Okay, sometimes we take personal surety. Sometimes we take session over debtors of stock. The other method that we use is often when we're doing government finance or government financing, then we are added as financiers and investors on their CSD profile. We've got access to their CSD profile, and we're setting up a managed account so that when the end client, and in a regular example being a government department, that payment is made by the government department into an account that we control. Okay, so we see the money first, we take what is due to us, distribute that to the investors, and then return the rest to the borrower.
Okay, that's
so
brilliant.
We've got a whole arsenal of things that we use. We might do all of them, we might do some of them, depending on the risk at the time.
Okay, that's brilliant. That's lovely. So I think maybe just to add to that, can you tell us what your success rate is in in successful repayments to the investors on your platform?
When we did lose, it was during COVID times. So far we haven't had anything that has, since we've started again, we haven't had anything that has defaulted. What does happen every now and again is a payment is delayed. So we might say it's going to be paid by the end of March, and it gets paid at the end of April. Okay. It has happened in one or two circumstances where something has gone very wrong and the borrower has come and said, I cannot pay it at the end of April, but could I pay it back at X amount over the next year? So that has happened. So we work on making sure that things come back, even if they don't necessarily come back in the way we originally planned.
Okay. So it's consistent more than anything. We can't guarantee anything in life. But yeah, it is consistent. I think I just want to touch on two more things before we start wrapping up and because we are reaching the tail end. I've got quite a few more questions here on my side. But I just want to explain to the foreign investors, or the foreign crowd members, the foreign investors on our platform, that investors who live outside of South Africa, i.e. the United States, or you're sitting in Nigeria, or you're sitting in Kenya, somewhere in Europe, you have to submit your passport as part of your KYC. And KYC really is just for us to understand and to adhere to the global regulations of anti-money laundering and ensuring that there's no terrorist financing. So that documentation really is just for us to cross-check that we are not financing or we're not receiving money from a foreign national who is on the watch list, on the UN sanctions list, or somewhere, so all our bases are covered, and also to ensure that everyone else in the crowd is not put at risk because we've accepted money from someone who may be delinquent for that matter. So it's just really to tick the boxes and to ensure that we are compliant at all times, because we do pride ourselves in governance, and ensure that our governance protocols are also trickled down into all the entities that we as the crowd make investments into. And I just want to go back to say that the minimum and the maximum investment amount on our platform is a minimum of 1,000 Rand from the investor's perspective, but and then the maximum would be whatever it is the funding target is for that particular campaign, be it 3 million, be it 10 million, be it 1.5 million. And guys, I do really apologize that we won't be able to get through all your questions. I've actually got a flurry of questions right now. I do apologize, we won't be able to get through all of your questions, but they will be answered. You will get an email to addressing all your questions, and also just speaking to any other concerns that you might have. And before we sign off, I'd like to also just bring up the last poll before we thank you so much. So would you like our team to reach out to you and assist you with your investment? If so, please let us know in the comments or anonymously, or not anonymously, you have to email us, of course. But please let us know. We're more than happy to assist you and hold your hand during the journey, and also understand and answer all the questions that you need. We'll hold your hand from beginning to right to the end. We are reaching the tail end of our webinar this afternoon, and I'd like to mention that we do have CPD for those who require CPD. Please just mail Karina at GoGetta.Africa, and we will sort that out as soon as humanly possible as well. So I've got one last question for each of the entrepreneurs in the room, and I will start with, who can I start? I'll start with Scorefam. Baba, are you still there?
Yes.
Baba, what are what are your plans in the next 3 months to take the business to the next level? Just out of it was just a random question that we received from the crowd.
Yeah, like I said, we launched a new version of our platform last month, and we have so many good plans in the pipeline. And so after this race, we're going to be introducing new sporting events onto the ScoreFarm ecosystem. Right now, we have just football on the platform, but we have plans on introducing basketball, Formula One, and a lot of sport events to the platform. Also, we're going to be releasing the flexible and multiplex gaming types in the next couple of months. So right now we have just locked gaming, which is the MVP, and users are loving it for to give that full resegmentation feel to users. We're going to be releasing those two features, and also we have a mobile application in the pipeline to be released. We're going to be releasing that also this year. So yeah, we have quite a lot, and majorly growth. Also, we have a lot of campaigns and growth user acquisition plans in the pipeline to execute. So yeah, basically those are our next plan, next moves in the next couple of months.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Then we've got one for Daryl. Daryl, you mentioned that there are 2 more investments that you're closing now in the short term, and you invest in the whole value chain. Where in the value chain do these 2 investments sit, and do they help? Do you choose the investment portfolio to assist your current investments, or are they all independent of each other? You're on mute. Sorry, Daryl, you're on mute.
My apologies. STEM, per the poster behind me, we have a very strong philosophy of purchasing across the value chain. However, at present, we're finding it quite tough going buying into cannabis businesses, largely because legislation has been dragging on somewhat. So we have expanded our investment strategy to incorporate other areas of green energy. And one of our next investments pertains to a renewables business that has a very unique offering and is in a position to take advantage of government incentives. So that's our very next investment. And the investment after that is in a cannabis and hemp accelerator. So what we've found is that there are a lot of great business ideas that have been put into action. However, these businesses are not quite ready to meet our financial targets and hurdles. So what we're planning to do is make small investments and take these businesses through a rigorous program where we assist them in strategizing and readying themselves to be successful businesses. And thereafter, if they have the mettle, we intend investing further in those businesses. So those are our next 2 investments. And like I said, hopefully we'll have them on in the next 2 months.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Guys, unfortunately, I can't ask the other 2 questions. I've been, someone is holding, being held at ransom here. So I do want to reiterate that we will definitely answer all your questions and send the recording out to all attendees of this afternoon. And are you ready to invest? And are you ready to invest? Reach out through our website, start your journey of growing your investment portfolio 1 share at a time, whether it be in South Africa or in Africa. But let's hold hands, let's join hands, let's all invest in growing the African economy, 1 entrepreneur at a time. Thank you guys, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, STEM.
Thanks, Daryl. Thanks, Gareth, Lolu,
Thanks, team.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, STEM. Thank you.